Hi, my name is Martha Wren, and I chose to do my news story presentation on a CNN business article entitled Facebook to Lift Its Ban on Political Advertising. It was published March 3rd, 2021. The article goes into detail on the ban placed by several social media groups, including Facebook, back near back in November surrounding the election. So Facebook is the one it primarily focuses on. It also discusses Google and mentions Twitter, all of which placed a ban on political advertising due to the violent and polarizing nature of this last election and everything that's happened since. So it goes into detail on the ban, on how Facebook plans to lift the ban over the next week, how Google did just this past week, and it talks about the fears regarding what lifting this ban could look like in terms of future violence. A lot of the violence that happened at the Capitol and other violent political things that have happened over the past few months have been attributed in part to social media. So the fear by many professionals is that lifting this ban could in turn lead to more of these violent acts based off politics and false information being spread and things of that nature. So the reason this is an ethical issue is because each person and group is going to see this in a different way. So, for instance, libertarians would see the ban that was put into place as a violation of their freedom. So they would see it as them not being able to be in charge of themselves and their actions and their words and their social media accounts, and they would see that as a violation of their freedom. Whereas on the other side, utilitarians are going to focus on who benefits the most from each side of that scenario. So I do think ultimately they would fall on the side of supporting the ban once they saw the potential good it had for so many people to avoid violence. But they wouldn't be making that decision based off it actually being good. They'd only be making that decision based off it benefiting the most people. Another aspect of it would be Kant, who would argue that it's our duty to do this, to place this ban in on these political advertising that are inciting violence, because people are means in and of themselves, and it is important to protect life and mankind in any way that we can, and placing this ban is beneficial to protecting that. My personal favorite, it would be the way Rawls and his followers would see this ethical dilemma. They would say that we should place ourselves under the veil of ignorance, because it is only under that veil where we all that we'd have to imagine ourselves being affected by this. So from under the veil of ignorance, we could imagine that we are the ones being affected by the violence. We're the ones losing our loved ones or our lives, and things like that. And from that perspective, we would, of course, support the ban on the advertising that could protect that from happening again. As far as my community, my family, my close friends I've surrounded myself with like-minded people, so we would support the ban that could prevent violence. That being said, for instance, the church I grew up in sees it as a deep infringement of their rights and their freedoms. They see it as them being told what to do and not being allowed to think how they choose. So there's both sides of the spectrum there.